But men over 50 do these exercises every day to reshape your lower body and boost testosterone naturally. Introduction: the second half of life demands a different blueprint. Turning 50 is not a biological expiration date, it is a physiological pivot point. For decades, society has conditioned men to believe that strength, vitality, and hormonal balance inevitably decline after midlife. The narrative suggests that muscle loss, joint stiffness, low energy, and diminished testosterone are simply the price of aging. But science tells a radically different story. The human body remains highly adaptable well into the 7th, 8th, and even 9th decades of life. What changes is not the capacity for adaptation, but the strategy required to unlock it. For men over 50, the lower body is the engine of longevity. It houses the largest muscle groups in the body: the glutes, quadriceps, hamstrings, calves, and hip stabilizers. These muscles are not merely aesthetic assets. They are metabolic powerhouses, joint protectors, balance regulators, and hormonal signaling hubs. When the lower body weakens, everything else follows. Mobility shrinks, posture collapses, metabolic rate slows, injury risk skyrockets. And yes, hormonal balance shifts unfavorably, but the reverse is also true. When you systematically rebuild, strengthen, and reshape the lower body, you trigger a cascade of positive adaptations. You stimulate muscle protein synthesis. You improve insulin sensitivity. You enhance cardiovascular efficiency. You restore functional independence. And you create an internal environment that supports healthy, natural testosterone production. This is not marketing hype. It is exercise physiology, endocrinology, and biomechanics working in harmony. The phrase "do these exercises every day" requires immediate clarification. Daily does not mean daily destruction. It does not mean lifting heavy until failure 6 days a week. For men over 50, intelligent movement means daily engagement, strategic loading, purposeful recovery, and progressive adaptation. Some days will feature strength work. Others will emphasize mobility, blood flow, neuromuscular activation, or active recovery. The goal is consistency, not martyrdom. This comprehensive guide is built on 3 pillars. Pimai. Reshape the lower body through targeted, joint-friendly, progressive resistance and mobility work. Support natural testosterone optimization through compound movement, recovery protocols, and lifestyle alignment. Ensure longevity and safety. By respecting age-related physiological shifts, prioritizing form over ego, and programming intelligently, you will not find quick fixes, steroid-adjacent promises, or bro-science myths here. You will find evidence-based frameworks, step-by-step exercise progressions, programming templates, nutritional guidelines, recovery strategies, and psychological tools designed specifically for the physiology, psychology, and lifestyle of men over 50. The lower body is not just a reflection of your fitness. It is a mirror of your future. How you train it today dictates how you walk, climb, rise, play, and live tomorrow. Let's rebuild it with precision, patience, and purpose. Chapter 1. The Physiology of Aging. What changes after 50 to train? Effectively after 50, you must first understand what is happening inside your body. Aging is not a disease. It is a series of predictable, manageable physiological shifts. Ignoring them leads to injury, frustration, and unnecessary decline. Respecting them unlocks sustainable progress. 1.1 Sarcopenia, the silent muscle erosion. Sarcopenia is the age-related loss of skeletal muscle mass, strength, and function. It begins subtly in the 30s, accelerates in the 40s, and becomes clinically significant after 50 if left unaddressed. Research indicates that men lose approximately 1 to 2% of muscle mass per year after age 50, with strength declining at an even faster rate due to neuromuscular degradation. Why does this happen? Anabolic resistance. Muscle becomes less responsive to protein and mechanical stimulus. Reduced satellite cell activity. The repair and regeneration mechanisms slow down. Hormonal shifts. Testosterone, growth hormone, and IGF-1 decline gradually. Lifestyle compounding. Sedentary behavior, poor nutrition, and chronic stress amplify the decline. The lower body bears the brunt of sarcopenia. The quadriceps and gluteus maximus are among the first to atrophy when movement decreases. This leads to compromised gait, reduced power output, increased fall risk, and metabolic slowdown. The solution is not medication. It is mechanical tension, metabolic stress, and progressive overload applied intelligently. 1.2 Joint and connective tissue adaptation. Cartilage has no blood supply. Tendons and ligaments have limited circulation. As we age, these tissues become less elastic, more prone to stiffness, and slower to recover. The knees, hips, and lower back are particularly vulnerable because they bear the highest loads during daily movement. However, connective tissue responds beautifully to controlled loading. Tendons adapt to tension by increasing collagen synthesis. Cartilage benefits from cyclic compression and decompression, which pumps nutrients into the joint space. The key is avoiding sudden spikes in load, prioritizing full range of motion, and integrating mobility work that maintains joint capsule health. 1.3 Metabolic and cardiovascular shifts. Basal metabolic rate declines with age, partly due to muscle loss and partly due to mitochondrial efficiency changes. Insulin sensitivity often decreases, making nutrient partitioning less favorable. Vascular stiffness can increase, affecting blood flow to working muscles. Lower body training directly counters these trends. Large muscle groups consume significant glucose during and after exercise, improving insulin sensitivity. Resistance training increases resting metabolic rate by preserving lean mass. Cardiovascular adaptations occur even with strength work when rest periods are managed and movement density is increased. Xi 1.4. The hormonal landscape. Testosterone levels naturally decline by about 1% per year after age 30. By 50, many men operate at 60–70% of their peak levels. This decline is normal, but it is often exacerbated by excess body fat, especially visceral fat, which converts testosterone to estrogen via aromatase, chronic stress, and elevated cortisol. Poor sleep architecture, nutrient deficiencies, zinc, magnesium, vitamin D, healthy fats, sedentary lifestyle, and lack of mechanical stimulus. The goal is not to chase 20-something hormone levels. The goal is to optimize within your genetic and age-appropriate range, support free testosterone availability, and minimize factors that suppress endocrine function. Exercise, particularly heavy compound lower body work, is one of the most potent natural levers available. 1.5 Neurological and proprioceptive changes. Balance, coordination, and reaction time decline with age due to reduced neural drive, slower motor unit recruitment, and changes in vestibular and proprioceptive feedback. This is why falls become a leading cause of injury after 60. Lower body training is inherently neurological. Squats, lunges, single leg work, and hip hinge patterns retrain motor pathways, improve intermuscular coordination, and enhance spatial awareness. The nervous system remains highly plastic. It just requires consistent, varied, and purposeful input. Chapter 2. The testosterone exercise connection. Separating fact from fiction. Let's address the elephant in the room. Can exercise naturally boost testosterone? Yes, but not in the way supplement marketers claim. Understanding the reality will save you time, money, and disappointment. 2.1 Acute versus chronic hormonal response. Resistance training, especially heavy compound movements, triggers an acute spike in testosterone, growth hormone, and cortisol immediately post-workout. This spike lasts 15–60 minutes and is part of the anabolic signaling cascade. However, acute spikes do not equal long-term elevation. Chronic, sustainable increases come from lifestyle alignment, not temporary hormonal fluctuations. What does work long-term? Consistent resistance training. 2–4 IX week lower body emphasis. Body composition optimization. Reducing visceral fat lowers aromatase activity. Sleep quality. 7–9 hours of uninterrupted sleep supports nocturnal T production. Stress management. Chronic cortisol suppresses hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis. Micronutrient sufficiency. Zinc, magnesium, vitamin D, omega-3s. 2.2 Why lower body work is hormonally superior. The lower body contains the largest muscle mass. Training it creates greater systemic demand, which elicits stronger endocrine signaling. Studies consistently show that leg-dominant resistance training produces higher acute testosterone and growth hormone responses compared to upper body or isolation work. But the real hormonal benefit comes from indirect effects: improved insulin. Sensitivity reduces fat storage and inflammation. Enhanced sleep quality from regular training supports nocturnal hormone production. Increased muscle mass raises resting metabolic rate, aiding body composition. Reduced chronic pain and improved mobility, lower stress hormone burden. 2.3. The cortisol-testosterone balance exercise is a stressor. Acute stress is adaptive. Chronic stress is destructive. Overtraining, poor recovery, excessive cardio, and inadequate nutrition elevate cortisol chronically, which directly antagonizes testosterone production. For men over 50, the margin for recovery error shrinks. Training must be strategic, not sacrificial. Signs your cortisol-testosterone balance is off: persistent fatigue despite adequate sleep, strength plateaus or regression, increased joint stiffness and slow recovery, mood changes, irritability, or brain